This was...
And we're live. We are live on Facebook. This is Annie Sprinkle and Beth Stevens. I am so excited to have them here. Annie and I go back decades. Annie was actually the first person who took an interest in the fact that I was going to write a book. And she would meet with me once a month and make me write. And she introduced me to my very first book agent, E.A.R.T.H, who's married to David Henry Sterry. Anyhow, Annie, I love you. I adore you. You are such an amazing woman. And Beth, I don't go back as far with you, but I love you for loving Annie and the things that are happening when the two of you come together. The magic that you guys co-create is astounding.
Well, thank you. You too. We love you.
And you are you're right now you're located in West Virginia. That's not actually where you live. You live in the Bay Area of Northern California. I want to know something though. You have a dog. Is he traveling with you?
No.
Is he a doggy daycare?
No, we have a wonderful Polish scholar named Ewelina Jarolsk who's staying at our house. And I think our dog has forgotten all about us.
Oh my gosh, that could be so traumatizing. That could be so traumatizing when you go back home and the dog's forgotten about you. I've been there.
Taking him to the beach all the time. He's in good.
He's very happy.
It was too hot to bring him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you're couch surfing right now because you're on a book tour, right?
Well, a mini book tour and a little performance tour, but right this very minute, I'm visiting my family in West Virginia. So we're at my cousin's house, and it's very nice. We're not couch surfing at all.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it looks like there's gorgeous colonial furniture. So, yes.
And there's a swimming pool, which we need because it's been in the 90s, and a hot tub. So as aquaphiliacs and water lovers, we're in heaven. We're wet. We're very wet here in Charleston.
Beth, it kind of sounds like your cousin's house actually is more of a spa.
Well, it kind of seems that way.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, look, most of the people on my page today and most of the people who come over to my YouTube are gonna know who you guys are. Because I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you guys are everywhere. New York Times, everywhere. And CNN just did a piece on your book, didn't they?
They just did a really sweet piece about us, and they talked about the book a little bit, assuming the ecosexual position. And it was a piece that was really more about our artwork together, our weddings that we did for many years to the earth, and we married the Appalachian Mountains. We've married about everything.
Yes, you have. You have. I've been wondering. You guys married each other, right?
We have married each other a few times.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I should be calling you a wife or not. So I just said partner.
Oh, we're the wifelets.
You're the wifelets. I love it. Well, look, just for those very few people who haven't heard of you two, I'm gonna read a little bit from your bio just so everybody knows who you are. So Beth Stevens and Annie Sprinkle have created multimedia art projects about love, sex, and queer ecologies together since 2002. And Annie was a sex worker from 1973 to 1995, and she morphed into a feminist performance artist and sex educator. In 1994, Beth became a professor of sculpture and intermedia at the University of California, Santa Cruz, where she still teaches and directs the Earth Lab. And in a minute, I'm going to let you guys tell us what the Earth Lab is about. These days, Beth and Annie make environmental films with an ecosexual gaze. They also create theater, performance art, eco-activism, and produce symposiums and workshops. their wedding to the earth, and the Ecosexual Manifesto launched the Ecosex Movement in 2008. Notably, they were official Documenta 14 artists, and they received a 2019 Eureka Fellowship and a 2021 Guggenheim Fellowship. Their new book, Assuming the Ecosexual Position, The Earth as Lover, is available at the University of Minnesota Press, and it chronicles their epic love story and their art life adventures. And if you haven't seen their most recent film, Water Makes Us Wet, you are missing out. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. So that's the proper introduction. Can we back up just a little bit and help us understand what ecosexual actually means? Because a lot of people might have heard that word, but they don't necessarily know what it means. And you guys are where it all started.
Well, the word ecosex was around before we picked up on it. It was used for a dating term to imply that you were interested in environmental stuff, or you didn't eat meat, or you didn't wear leather. It had different meanings, but it was a dating term, like bisexual or metrosexual. But we took that word because we married the earth and we thought, what are we now? Because we really took our vows to heart. And it started as an art project, but it became bigger. Our love grew. And we decided it was imagining the earth as a lover and a partner, and that ecosex was about exploring all the sensual pleasure. As sex educators and artists who do work about sex, we want the world to be a more pleasure-filled place. We're pleasure activists. And our mission is to make the environmental movement a little more sexy, fun, and diverse. And so we've defined ecosex in other ways as well.
But I think really the definition of ecosex is that you love the earth. It's
Plain
that
and-
easy.
Yeah.
And you can love the earth and still be whatever other identity you want to be. You can be, you know, queer, trans, bi, heterosexual, polyamorous, everything all together. And you can still be ecosexual too.
You can even be asexual, just like you can be homosexual and not have homosexual sex. You can be ecosexual, but also, you know, it's a little taboo because we're not supposed to eroticize
nature
being penetrated with sun rays or
having intercourse with the air that we breathe.
It's that simple. Or laying on the beach and feeling a gentle breeze across your body and getting aroused by it.
Or hot tree hugging.
Yeah.
Those are taboo things. Killing trees seems to be okay.
But a little grassolingus will get you put away.
Oh my God, Annie, you're so right. Yeah, we could kill the tree, but don't hump it.
Hump it, hug it, or even just eroticize it. I mean, our motto is eroticize everything, because why not? Why just fantasize about people? Why not, you know, see bees pollinating flowers and see that's like a live sex show going on. So there's sex going on all around us all the time.
Well, and with our bodies ourselves too. I mean, you know, we have all kinds of things that live in our biome cloud and live inside us, and who knows what they're doing together. I mean, right now we could be having an invisible orgy, right?
I think that's happening in my stomach right now.
Yeah. Are you hungry?
One time I did a television interview, and we were walking outside, and I was pointing to the cherry blossoms. I said, "Those are sex organs," and the interviewer told me that I was sex obsessed, and that's always stuck in my mind. It's like, no, it's just that I'm not in denial.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking around me. It's obvious that the flowers are sex organs and the bees are pollinating it, which is a sex act.
And when we stick our nose into flowers to smell them, we're sticking our nose into the genitalia of the flower,
Yeah.
the
Those
bush.
bits.
Yeah.
You're gonna get pollen all over your face.
Oh, totally, totally. And I know, when we eat a plate full of mushrooms, those are sex organs.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, some of this is very funny and some of it's totally absurd. And you can critique and poo-poo ecosex very easily. People think it's too California, too Birkenstocky, but we like to think of it as punk rock.
We have a whole chapter in our book about the critiques people have made of us. And, but that's okay, because
Okay, I did not get to that part of the book, I confess. So I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's a fun
it's
part.
juicy.
All the
That's very brave. That
But-
is super brave.
Ecosex also has an edge. People think, oh, well, that's not real sex. But when you run naked through a field of nettles, like Beth did, that's pretty kinky and hardcore. You know, swimming with whales can be pretty
So
intense.
you've swam with whales.
No.
Well, we swim with each other.
Oh, Beth, stop it.
We're really whales trapped in women's bodies. That's another
That's
topic.
another episode.
Oh God. Well, you guys have a great sense of humor. I've swam with porpoises.
Oh,
Now, dolphins and porpoises are not quite the same animal, but they're from the same family. They're cetaceans. And my understanding is that you got to watch out for the dolphins because they will get a hard on and come after you.
I've heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I've always thought, oh, that would just be terrible. Oh.
they're very,
No, Flipper, no.
they're very playful. We've heard, I have not had the pleasure of swimming with any kind of whales or dolphins. I'm a little scared too, but I mean, I have an edge, you know. Water bugs are my extreme edge. I'm terrified of water bugs, but other than that, you know,
You're terrified of water bugs?
yeah.
Oh, I love them. I call them skippers.
Oh no, but you live out out outside the city. So are you an ecosexual, do you think? Have you?
Oh, yes. Well, I have a chapter in the book, Ecosexuality. So my thing are the bonobos. I just think they're the most wonderful example of polyamorous, pansexual sexuality and how that can lead to peace. And I really think that's part of your message too, is that if we spent more time being in love with each other and also in love with our planet, that if we loved Mother Earth, it would be a lot more difficult to rape her. Don't you think?
Bomb her or dump our garbage all over her.
Yeah.
Abuse her,
Yeah.
take advantage, exploit.
Yeah, we talk about all of those things in our book. And we also try to talk about those in our films as well.
Well, Beth, there was a frame where you were talking to the water that was running through the pipes that Arrowhead was stealing from the land that needed it and the animals that needed it, so that they could bottle it. And you talked to the water in the pipe and you apologized to it and you affirmed that someday you hope that the pipes would burst and it could run wherever it wants to go. And I found that really moving.
I'll never forget being up there in the San Bernardino Mountains. And that's where Nestle goes to steal that water from Arrowhead Springs. And then they a huge profit. I mean, I think they pay $500 a year for their permit. And Arrowhead water is everywhere. So they're making millions of dollars on a $500 permit.
Oh, that's criminal.
Concerned. Yeah. And that water wants to run free. I mean, we are water and we know that it's just wrong what they're doing.
We have to live with the other beings that are on this planet You know, it's interesting because this morning I was talking to my gardener, and he's a great guy, very well intentioned. I'd asked him to use some deer repellent on my petunias. They're close to the house. They're in a pot. There's this little doe that comes up on the property, and she wants to eat my petunias. And I was like, no, I don't want her to eat the petunias. But then he went and he sprayed the mint, and I'm like, the mint grows like crazy. I want her to eat the mint. I want her up here eating it. This is a hard time of year. Everybody's trying to find some food. So I was like trying to express to him the balance that, I am willing to sacrifice some plants in order for this mother deer and her little fawn. And do you think it would be helpful if we had an attitude of sharing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that what we're trying to do is think about relationships we have with the earth and with each other, because we're part of the earth. We're not separate from the earth. And so we have relationships with these deer and with the plants and with the trees and with the fire that's happening and with the water that we need and love. And all of those things are part of us and we're part of them. And so that is what sharing is, right? You give something to something that gives something back, maybe, right? Like it's a reciprocal relationship. And that's what we're trying to talk about in our ecosexual work.
And what we do to the earth, we do to our own bodies. And
Yeah.
what we do to our bodies when we get buried, we're going to do to the earth if we get buried,
Well,
which I'm not
ashes-
going to.
Ashes go into the earth too.
Ashley,
I feel so sorry for the little animals right now.
Uh,
They've just, they must be so stressed out from the fires and
oh, my dog can't get back into the house quick enough to because we have tons of smoke here. It's been hazardous levels, and I look at the deer and I think their poor little lungs. I just want to hug them.
Yeah, we have a little cabin in Boulder Creek, California, in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and we're madly in love with this wild white peacock named Albert, who's an icon in our neighborhood. Everyone adores this peacock. And the CZU fires came last summer, like a block from our house, and all we could think about was Albert and his little lungs, and we donated money to the fire department and asked them, please save Albert. And everybody was like Facebooking about Albert. And then he survived. He was okay. And people took care of him, animal rescue people. And oh gosh, I just hope he doesn't have to go through that again. But he is breathing smoke again. And I mean, he's 25 years old.
Wow.
And after the fire, everyone made these beautiful t-shirts and sweatshirts and Albert rising from the ashes. It's magical.
The peacock becoming a phoenix, huh?
He's our
exactly.
He's our boyfriend. And by the way, you said Mother Earth, and certainly we can imagine the Earth as mother, and a lot of people do, and that's great. But we can also imagine the Earth as any archetype. We like to think of the Earth as trans, all genders, beyond gender. So we use fluid pronouns, male, female, they, them. Best pronouns actually tree.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes
On a good day.
so
Mother Earth becomes our transgender Earth.
Or Lover Earth.
Or milk.
This is the metaphor that we like to Lover Earth.
But well, it is really kind of silly to think.
Many mothers were lovers, and that's how they became pregnant, right? So we think that the Lover Earth can also be the Mother Earth, but that the Lover Earth, you treat your lover a little differently than you treat your mother. And you want to please the lover. And if you don't please the lover, you're not going to keep your lover around because they'll just leave. Whereas the mother is committed to staying through all kinds of things that the lover probably wouldn't stay through.
And I think Earth has really exhibited that behavior too, of sticking with us no matter what. It's there's so much resilience on this planet, and we're really taking him, they to the brink.
Yeah.
You guys are in West Virginia right now, and I know that Golly Mountain is an older film, but would it be okay if we just talked a little bit about the Mountaintop removal and how things are going in West Virginia right now?
Well, it's an interesting situation here because the coal is running out. I mean, a lot of coal mining operations have shut down, but we were driving to, I'm at one cousin's house and we were driving to her son's house, and this just dropped dead. Gorgeous place called Lewisburg, West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia has some extraordinary beauty here. But as we were driving on the West Virginia Turnpike to Lewisburg from Charleston, I looked up on my right-hand side, and the largest mountaintop removal site was right there in Pax, West Virginia. You know, Pax means peace in Latin. And it was just so ironic driving by this monstrosity of a mountaintop removal site that they don't even bother to hide now.
Wow.
But the good news is that there are less and less mines. But the mines that are still operational are so arrogant that they just put it right in your face when you're driving by. And so that was really disturbing. And unfortunately, somehow the anti-mountaintop removal activist scene really lost a lot of steam. I think they, you know, it just is sad. It's really sad. that's what I'm observing.
Beth is from West Virginia.
I'm a West
She's born
Virginian.
and raised, and her family's all here. I've been coming with her for almost 20 years, and it is stunning. The mountains are all so curvy and lush, and they're really kind of feminine.
It's so beautiful, and that's why it's so heartbreaking to see them destroyed like that.
500 mountaintops have been cut off to get coal for energy.
But I think what that film did is it gave people hope that there could be an end in sight. And I think there is, whether the end is just that coal has run out, or that, you know, the government's going to stop them, which is what I'm hoping. You know, I mean, I'm a proponent of the Green New Deal and things like that.
Oh, me too.
So I would hope that these things would be illegal at some point.
We have wind, we have solar, we have other options. And it's not just the mountains get cut off, it's all the living creatures get killed, the streams get dry up.
The people living in those areas get cancer.
There's more flooding too. Some people get horrible flooding.
Oh, yeah.
And toxic sludge, very toxic stuff. And the air here has a lot of coal dust. But
go ahead.
Well,
I mean, I wrote to someone the other day. I said, wow, you know, California is becoming West Virginia with the air quality, you know, the fires, the dangers of landslides when it does finally rain, which I hope it rains this winter.
I do too, man.
It's a scary situation. So it's not just West Virginia. It's also, you know, the whole West is in trouble.
Oh, it's really the whole planet. I mean, British Columbia was on fire a couple months ago. They have fires in Siberia. It's So the message one of the things that I think is so beautiful about the message that the two of you are bringing is that it's really heart-centered, and even though you're taking on incredibly difficult and painful topics, you're doing it in a way that invites fun and love and some humor, which I think is more inviting for some people. Have you found that to be true?
Humor helps the medicine go down. And we are fond of art that makes you laugh inside or outside, or Ecosex is very playful. It's funny. It's fun. We teach these Ecosex workshops, and to get 30 people on the beach doing ecosexual practices through art and performance and creativity, it's just hilarious and fun. And, you know, rubbing honey on your body and then rolling in sand and then getting in doggy position, get slapped by the ocean waves and rolled around, and eroticizing all that is an absolute ecstatic, joyful, crazy thing. And then you automatically love and appreciate the earth when you're having that much fun and pleasure with the natural world that you want to protect it. So our job is to try to get people to love the earth and the environment more through their senses, through their body, through their heart, through love. Absolutely. Humor is great. And we like to think of ourselves as a little punk rock, giving it an edge with sexy shoes, like our book cover here, assuming the Ecosexual has a high heel. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
want a place where sex workers feel comfortable with an environmental movement, or punk rockers, or drag queens, or trans people, or people of all green hair and all colors and all
Shapes and
shapes and
sizes.
sizes. So we don't always feel comfortable in the conservative kind of environmental circles.
Oh.
But the other thing about humor is really political. And a lot of times when you're facing a Goliath, you have to laugh at him, and that distracts him so that then you can shoot the stone, you know? I mean, it's humor. When things can be so bad sometimes, the only thing that can keep you going is the ability to laugh. It's very powerful. And
Yes, Beth, it's a really good point. I mean, when the Orange Menace went into the White House, my sanity was literally preserved by the comedians who were,
yeah.
If it hadn't been for them, I don't know, I would have imploded or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the Orange Menace couldn't stand being laughed at. I mean, that was the thing, is if those in power can still laugh at those who can't handle being laughed at, then we still have some power, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I was really
Which
moved
book
by-
have you had the chapter on Ecosex?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, wait.
Oops. Which book of yours had a chapter on Ecosex?
The one that Serena Anderlini,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. That was the first book about
the
ecosex.
anthology.
the
Mhm.
anthology.
Our
You're in it, and both of you are in it, and I had a chapter in it too. I want to read something that I read from your new book, Assuming the Ecosexual Position, that really moved me, and I felt like I saw evidence of that also in your film, Water Makes Us Wet. Can I read it?
Please.
Okay.
Okay.
So the word completing, everything turned out to be the perfect fill in the blank. The word completing the phrase being some variation of place or time or opportunity. The phrase usually comes at the conclusion of an account in which Annie and Beth have had to deal with unexpected, often challenging, even daunting circumstances or turns of events, and have had to improvise. As the phrase suggests, the outcomes are surprisingly better than could have been predicted. Disaster looms, but is averted. Chaos threatens, but is dispelled. Cumulatively, these instances of prevailing or getting through begin to read as something more, a transformation of the logic of performance itself. Instead of being shaped mainly by the intentionality of planning and preparation, the Ecosexual project appears to activate the gift of serendipitous collaboration and spontaneous kindness. I love that. And for me, that lens is like a spiritual principle that runs through everything that you do, which is that you are collaborating with the life force. Do you see it that way?
Well, thank you for saying that.
That was from the introduction.
That was from Una
From-
Chandra.
Una
Yes.
Chandra.
Yeah.
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 We try to be open to the life force. We really do. I mean, I'm a little bit more of a hillbilly than Annie is, so I can get ornery, and you know, my ego can get in the way sometimes, but we really love collaborating with everybody and everything. And when we're really relaxed and in sync with things, we can appreciate all the living beings and the elements and our friends and our enemies even, you know. And I mean, it really is a reciprocal way of being. And that I mean, there's a whole range of, you know, feelings and consequences and events that go with that, but it's okay. I mean,
Well, for instance, in Water Makes Us Wet, you have a car wreck. And your dog, I forgot his name.
Butch.
What is it?
Butch.
Butch. Butch is thrown from your camper van. And for, I think it's 3 days, you don't know where Butch is.
It was 5 days.
5 days. 5 torturous days. And it's in the film. You just put it in the film and share with us your travails. You share with us the hospital visit. Annie, I don't know, Beth, were you injured as badly? I saw all this footage about Annie.
I had a pretty good concussion.
Oh,
Yeah. Scar. She's got
Yeah, I've got a little pirate scar
Oh.
here. You can't see it because I have makeup on, but
oh, I'm sorry, guys.
No, we made it a romantic adventure. We were lucky that we weren't hurt worse. So,
oh yeah, that was
so
a bad wreck.
we were just so happy to be alive. We were ecstatic. But
you know, the truth though, Veronica, is the film was pretty boring.
no,
And we were looking for a dramatic arc, you know?
Beth, you are so full of it. You are so full of it. The film is not boring at all.
It's because it has that wreck in it.
no.
Like boom, you know, we're going along. We're like regular environmentalists. We're like, it takes 45 gallons of water to make a pound of meat. Or, you know, we go like, oh,
I love
that's stealing water. And then suddenly, boom, you know, and it's wake up time, right? They are running off the
Oh
road.
my God. And Annie's in the hospital. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? And is Butch okay?
But we couldn't have made that up.
Well, that's what's so fun about being an artist. And we welcome controversy, challenges, all that stuff. When things don't go according to plan, you can spin it. When we married
You have
the
to
moon,
improvise.
yeah, we married the moon, and it became in LA, and they
the
tried
cops
to
tried to
cancel.
shut us down.
They tried to cancel our
and we
contract.
accused them of ecosexual discrimination.
Well,
they didn't know what to do.
It just made the whole story more interesting.
We had a SWAT team that they were guarding us to make sure we didn't make a porn movie. It was crazy.
Unbelievable.
So this book that we did, we're so proud of it. It is published by an academic press, but you can get it in any bookstore. Just ask for it, or Amazon if you're that inclined, if that's where you get your books. Wherever you get your books, you can get it. And it's a love story. It's fun. It's
That was my cousin Susie.
Hi, Susie.
It's got any artist, I think, will appreciate it, but also
any academics or sex workers, everybody's in this book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody's in here. People from West Virginia.
And all kinds of animals.
Our families.
And
Oh, that was the other thing I loved about the credits in your movie, was that all the animals also had credits.
Thank you.
Thank you for reading them.
Thank you for noticing. Yeah, we see.
We love all the animals.
And we really collaborate with nature. Water is our collaborator. The oceans are collaborator. The skies are collaborator. And we have fun. We have a lot of fun. And Beth is the most fabulous collaborator I could have ever dreamed of.
Same for her.
In my whole life. And you know, Veronica, I have pretty wild background and not a lot of people could handle that. And Beth just stepped up to the plate. She's got
easy to handle.
She's so cool, and she's so, you know, sex positive, and she's everything I wanted. And I didn't even know I wanted a life partner.
I didn't either.
and we are
Well,
so
I'm so happy that you guys found each other, because the music, the movies, the message that comes from your collaboration, your merging, it's so beautiful. And the love that you bring to this planet and all of its creatures, human or otherwise, is it's really inspiring and breathtaking.
Wow, thank you.
Well, thank you for all your work and being smart and sexy both, and fabulous, and
having
promoting
people on your show.
shame-free,
shame-free
love and life, and being a love goddess. And it's so good to see you and connect with you.
Oh, Annie, it's wonderful to see you. And I can't tell you how often I think about you. And every time I do, I think about what a big part of my success you are, and just how much I love you for your generosity of spirit, and the generosity that you've shown me.
Oh,
she's one of the most generous people I've ever met.
She really is. This woman walks.
I learned a lot from her in terms of generosity.
Well, Beth's been, well, thank you. Beth, you know, anyway,
we want to come up and visit you sometime, though.
I would love that. And you know what? I would love to introduce you to my partner, John, too.
Yeah,
we would love him.
Oh,
actually, Annie, you're in a book with him. Someday I'll tell you about that.
How many dogs do you have and cats?
I have one little dog. She would not allow me to adopt anybody else. I tried several times. I said, what about this one? What about that one? She goes, nope, I'm a diva. So she and I've been together for 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
And she's 14. I adopted her when she was about a year old.
Oh.
And I adore her. And like, you know, the transition that I know you lost Bob. I remember Bob, your other dog. And I know Amelie is her name. She won't be with me much longer, but we are enjoying every moment that we have left.
Well, when she goes to another place, we can help you make a ritual for her to send her off with lots of peace, lots of love. Yesterday, we were at the cabin way out in the woods in Hurricane, West Virginia, which no one on your show's ever heard of. We went up into the woods and hung out with these two gay guys who told us how to have a really good dog funeral. And we took notes. You've got to put up their treats in the grave. You dig a grave, you put their treats in the grave, you put all their favorite toys, their little collar, you write little letters for them, you have a ritual, and then you put them back into the earth and you close the grave. And it sounded really beautiful.
It sounds
These guys in West Virginia, I mean, they had tears in their
eyes.
They were telling us about these beautiful rituals that they do for their dogs when they pass on. I mean, yeah, there's something so beautiful about being back here in West Virginia and, you know, really talking to people and part of the mountains, you know, the dogs that go back to the mountains or the dogs that go back to the woods up there in Grass Valley, or it's powerful.
But you don't have to live in the country to be ecosexual. You do have to live in the country to bury your dog.
That's true.
Pretty much, but, you know, listen, if you do live in a city, and I grew up in cities, lived in cities all my life, there's little grass growing in cracks and all kinds of ecosexy plants and trees and clouds, and just get down and sniff some soil in the park. Be careful.
Yes.
There's no.
Yes, and encourage those urban gardens.
Oh yeah.
Get get with that or find somebody who is and help them.
She's the gardener. I'm not a gardener.
She's scared of bugs. But the nice thing about being an ecosexual is that you're never alone. You always have a lover when you're ecosexual. It could be the air, it could be the trees, it could be anything.
Absolutely.
That's been very helpful during the pandemic.
And the sun and the moon and the stars.
That's right. And the mountains, all the oceans.
No matter
I am gonna have to sign off here because I have
Okay.
a client coming up. But I want to, just before we go, I want to make sure everybody knows how to reach you. I think we're going to probably go over to the Earth Lab. Am I right about that? Can you give them everybody the link? And then of course I'll post all the links too.
We have a new website. It's Sprinkle Stevens, and that's Stevens with a PHENS.org, like orgasm. And that's our new website because we have too many websites. And so we decided to consolidate sprinklestevens.org.
And there's a link till the end of August. Water Makes Us Wet is free to watch and stream. Please tell your friends.
Please stream it. Stream the water.
Stream that water. That's right. And get a copy of our book, Assuming the Ecosexual Position, The Earth is Lover. And you can find it because there aren't many titles like that.
No. No, there aren't. Ecosexual. I would just type ecosexuality and you guys come up. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, love you both so much. Be safe out there. And let's definitely get together when you get back this way.
Lots of love.
All the best.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.